Other side of the street. I'm back here now to,
Yeah, it would have been on Union Street, 9 North Union.
yes, it was on North Union, but also it was on Winter Street over here at one point, according to the city directory. Delaware Cab Company in '05 was at 35 to 37 East Winter Street. That had been over here. Where Lou's Bar area would have been, I think. It's about, well, let me see, that was 27 to 29 though.
I don't know if that was Dad's business or not, or
Okay.
Grandpa's. It could have been another cab company.
Well, okay.
There was a couple that tried to develop in Delaware and never seemed to hold up.
Yes.
But,
And
and then, I know you all remember where Rutherford B. Hayes' home was. Well, right next door was where my dad was born in the Held House. It would have been, I can't remember the number on William Street. But, they run the office, the business out of the front end of the portion of the building. That's where their cab office was.
yes.
And then they take calls right there at the house. But that house sat right next to Rutherford B. Hayes' home. And then Standard Oil bought that ground. Of course, the house, Dad still had the house there. He asked him what they had plans to do with the home. And they said, we'll probably just tear it down. He said, are you interested in it? And I said, what? He said, you could buy it for $1 if you wanted it. So Dad bought it for $1, and he had this house and had no place to move it. So there was a guy in Florida, and Dad talked with him on the phone. He bought that lot over the telephone, and they moved the house from William Street to 8 Blymer Street. And
It's
when
that corner house, isn't it?
Yeah.
There going into Mingo Park.
Yeah. And the outfit that moved it out of Columbus was asking my father if it was a log cabin, because that was one of the heaviest houses they've ever moved.
Wow.
But, he got it.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming
Oh,
and
yeah.
sharing these memories. Appreciate that. Yes, I am to the other side of the street. And at 7 East Winter Street would have been on the opposite side over here, the Myers Real Estate from 1946 to 53, 1905, or I'm sorry, 1965 to 96 was Don DeVault Real Estate, an auction company. 13 was the Barber Shop in 1886. And then it became, from 1897 to 05, a savings bank. 1922, Henders Motors. 1937, Delaware Auto Parts. 1946 to 55, that was a state liquor store. 1950 to 97, 1 Hour Martinizing. That's where we are then across the street. 1886, at number 15 in 1886 was Peter Engard's Flour, Seed and Grain Company. Then in 1907 it was also a paints and glass company and a plumbing and roofing company. 1908 Ziegler the Barber was there. 1930s Myers Barber was there. 1953 Mardi Beauty Salon from 53 to 68. At 17 East Winter. 1922 was Morrison's. It was moved eventually over onto, I believe, onto Sandusky. Charles Coriel Shoe Repair was at that same location. 1950 to 60, it was a tile and linoleum floors company. 17 to 19 was the Uzi livery stable in 1886. Eva Jones Boarding House, also in 1886, was at 19. At 19 was a feed store and livery through 1908. Pure Food Market was there in 22. 1930 to 86, Swope's Restaurant. I don't know if we have anyone here from Swope's tonight. Come on down. You're our next contestant. I thought I spotted Gary back there. Gary Swope, you ever been in Swope's restaurant?
I grew up in there. And actually, I had it for sixth grade teaching.
I grew up in there. Well, anyway, good to have you here. What do you know about it?
I was kind of young when, well, I remember the most is I was younger, and my grandma let me get away with everything. I had like a big wheel, I'd ride through there all the time, crashing and stuff. My mom would yell at me. She's like, oh, he's fine.
Things about Swope's I remember is that it was a morning and noontime restaurant. It wasn't open except in the evening, on a Friday evening, but other than that, it was a daytime restaurant, and you could get a great lunch for $1. John O'Brien, I was listening to the tape and listening to your brother, to Tom, talk about the $1 lunch that you could get at Swope's restaurant. Do you remember going to Swope's?
Our father would take us to Swope's, normally on Friday at lunchtime, and that would be, it would be $1 lunch, and he'd leave it for the tip.
My gosh. And it was a great place to gather. It was very popular, and the other thing I remember in talking to your dad, to Harry, about this, and that he was telling of how back in the day, so many of your businesses cooperated so much with each other that he, in fact, would buy. He would work it out with the Hamburger Inn that they would share the cost of initially buying food on certain things, so they didn't have to pay as much. And if one of them ran out, they would run down the street and ask the other restaurant, hey, we're out of such and such, can you help us out? And they would, of course. And so it was a great place for this community. Other memory, Gary, I have of it, and to give you another idea, Jack, you were in JC's.
Yeah.
And JC's had a donut making machine, and made lots of donuts. And the JC's was a large organization in the community, raised a lot of money for service projects in the community. I remember the time that we had a donut machine, and we would have regular donut sales and sell them out into the community and take orders also. And so one was coming up, we needed to hold a sale, and so they said, get your orders in so we can have a good sale. And I took them serious that time to the point that I don't know how many I sold, but they were not happy because they said, we can't make that many donuts. We only have one machine and we only have so many hours, we can't make that many donuts. What were you thinking? And so what we ended up doing was we went to Swope's. Swope's said, sure, you can use our donut machine. You can keep them both running at the same time. We'll let you stay there all night. We worked in crews all night, all day, working, putting out donuts. And in fact, something that wouldn't happen today, we went over to the bank across the street because we were working in shifts, and the floor was not carpeted in Swope's, but the bank floor was. And somebody was an employee of the bank, they let us go in there, we camped out on the floor of the bank while they came across the street to work on the donuts. And in the middle of the night, we ran out of mix. We absolutely had no more mix. We called Bueller's, and this was at about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, got the owner up, and had him come into town and open up Bueller's so that we could get supplies. And the community was willing to do this. Swope's, Bueller's, the bank, it was really a good place to be. Thank you. I think I remember him saying, how early do you suppose he got up? Any idea? Was it 4 o'clock?
I think they were there between 3 and 4 every day.
3 and 4 o'clock every day to open up that restaurant.
Homemade everything. I could make little cherry pies. That was my favorite. My grandma was making everything else. Of course, I ate a lot of donuts too.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
time.